Hi, today I'll be reading Leviticus chapters 19 and 20 and Psalm 36 for the one story that leads to Jesus' Bible reading plan. What does it look like to be a royal priesthood and a set apart nation in this world? Today's reading introduces the laws intended to shape Israel into an expression of God's goodness in the world. One law requires Israelite farmers to leave 10% of their crops intentionally unharvested and to allow the poor to glean from this portion. This kind of practice sets Israel apart from the rest of the world, tangibly displaying God's care for all people and the people's trust in God's ongoing provision. Another law required Israelites or Israelite merchants to measure weights honestly when selling produce in the marketplace, highlighting God's desire for justice. Other laws require Israelite families to abstain from participating in adultery, incest, or child sacrifice. Surrounding nations might see such regulation as unwise or simply strange, but they would also see that Israel's God thought differently about sexuality, suggesting a way of intimate love that honors, rather than abuses, children and values commitment and fidelity between partners. If the people were to follow God's instruction to love their neighbors as themselves, their community would become an oasis of peace and flourishing amidst the harsh world casts or east of Eden. Watch today's video to learn how Jesus called his followers to build the same kind of communities through integrity, generosity, and radical love. What repeated phrases stand out to you when reading Leviticus 19:20? How does this help you understand the purpose of these regulations? Which group of people receive special protection in these laws? What does this tell you about God's character and values?
Conflict in relationships is unavoidable. Even with your friends and family, maintaining peace is a struggle.
And it's even more difficult with our enemies, people who are out to get us.
Right. This is true of any time and any place in human history. Where there are people, there is strife and violence.
And this was definitely true in the time of Jesus, when Roman forces occupied the lands of Israel. So in his teachings, Jesus gives a radical vision for how his followers can seek peace in the midst of this conflict and work to repair even the most difficult relationships.
Jesus is an Israelite, and he believes that God's wisdom for relationships is found in the covenant laws given to ancient Israel.
And so in these teachings, Jesus will quote from one of those laws and then show the wisdom that's underneath.
So Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said to the ancients, 'Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made.'"
Now, in Israel, an oath was a type of promise where you swear by God that you will do what you say.
Like if you want to borrow some money, you could swear by God to repay me.
Exactly. And you can trust me because in Israel's covenant laws, God requires me to keep my oaths.
So oaths are a great way to avoid disputes.
You would think so, but even oaths can be twisted to take advantage of people. For example, what if I swear by God's temple that I will repay you?
Well, I know the law requires you to honor your oath, so it's a deal.
But I didn't exactly swear by God, just by his temple. So I'm not really bound to the oath.
So you're tricking me into trusting you.
Exactly. So Jesus cuts through all of this and says, just don't make oaths at all, by God or by anything else in God's world.
Never make a promise to anyone?
Well, not quite. His point is that when you do make a promise, don't use God's reputation as a tool to manipulate people.
Right, Jesus says, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Being a peacemaker starts with a radical commitment to honesty and integrity.
Now, I can see how this works if I started the conflict, but what if someone else starts a conflict with me?
Well, the next case study actually gets into exactly that.
Jesus quotes from the Torah, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth."
This is a famous line known as the law of retaliation.
Yeah, you harm me, I can harm you back. This kind of sounds like a license for revenge that can get out of hand.
Well, actually, this law was designed to limit the amount of retribution you can demand. It should be equal to the amount of harm done and not more.
Oh, so this law keeps peace by restraining our urge to hurt back those who hurt us.
Yes, and Jesus takes the wisdom of this law to a new level, telling his followers, don't even pay back an evil person.
Don't retaliate at all?
Yes, become people who value peace more than getting even.
But letting people get away with evil won't bring peace. You just can't stand by and do nothing.
Hold on, Jesus doesn't say do nothing. Rather, he advocates a really bold and creative response to evil that is nonviolent, so it can open the door for peace.
What does that look like?
Well, Jesus gives 3 examples from his own time and place.
First, he says, whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to them as well.
In the ancient Roman world, a right cheek slap with the back of the right hand was a symbolic way of dominating someone.
And humiliating them.
But Jesus says, don't retaliate. Rather, stand your ground and offer them the left cheek. This will force your attacker to strike with an open right hand. In other words, to strike you like an equal.
And it forces them to treat you as a fellow human being.
Yes, even if it costs you.
Well, next, Jesus says, if anyone sues you and takes your shirt, let him have your coat also?
Yeah, in ancient Israel, taking a poor person's coat was against the law because it's also their blanket to keep warm at night.
But a really uncaring person could find a way around this by demanding their shirt as payment.
Right. So Jesus offers a creative response. Give them your shirt and also give them your coat.
Why would you do that? Wouldn't that leave you exposed?
Exactly. Jesus is being provocative. The goal is to shock everyone around by exposing this injustice through costly generosity.
The third example is whoever forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2.
In Jesus' day, a Roman soldier could force any subject to carry their packs for them up to 1 mile.
How humiliating and dangerous.
And so Jesus says, carry that load not just 1 mile, but 2. The first mile, he might treat you like a pack animal, but by going that second mile, you assert your humanity as you choose to treat him like a friend.
Wait, treat an enemy oppressor like a friend?
Yeah, it sounds crazy. But Jesus is saying that bold generosity can subvert the power games of our world and even turn enemies into friends. And that leads to the last law that Jesus quotes.
You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.
Jesus is quoting an ancient biblical law when he says, love your neighbor. But then he quotes a popular line that many Israelites added to the law, but you can hate your enemy. Jesus counters this by telling his followers, love your enemies and pray for those who mistreat you.
Now, isn't this going a bit far? Peace with my enemies is one thing, but loving them?
Yes, Jesus seems to think that true peace is only possible when we treat every human as if they have ultimate value, which means that even my enemy is a fellow image of God.
But how am I supposed to love someone who hates me? It's hard enough to love the people that love me.
And our love for our friends and our family is a good thing. But for Jesus, that is just the starting point. He challenges his followers to share that same love outside our circles of comfort. And he holds up God's indiscriminate, generous love as the model.
Jesus says, God causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous.
The call is to become peacemakers who are inviting others in, working to mend broken relationships at every level in our communities.
It really is a radical way to live.
Yes. Jesus calls it becoming complete when he says, be complete just as your heavenly Father is complete. It means imitating God's generosity to both friends and enemies, because for Jesus, creative love is the only pathway to real peace.
All right. Leviticus 19. The Lord is holy. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to all the congregation of the people of Israel and say to them, You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Every one of you shall revere his mother and his father, and you shall keep my Sabbath. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make for yourselves any gods of cast metal. I am the Lord your God. When you offer a sacrifice of peace offerings to the Lord, you shall offer it so that it may be accepted. It shall be eaten the same day you offer it, or on the day after. And anything left over until the third day shall be burnt up with fire. If it is eaten at all on the third day, it is tainted. It will not be accepted. And everyone who eats it shall bear his iniquity, because he has profaned what is holy to the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from his people. Love your neighbor as yourself. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap your field right up to its edges, neither shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest, and you shall not strip your vineyard bare, neither shall you gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the sojourners. I am the Lord your God. You shall not steal. You shall not deal falsely. You shall not lie to one another. You shall not swear by my name falsely, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. You shall not oppress your neighbor or rob him. The wages of a hired worker shall not remain with you all night until the morning. You shall not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind, but you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. You shall do no injustice in court. You shall not be partial to the poor or defer to the great, but in righteousness shall you judge your neighbor. You shall not go around as a slanderer among your people, and you shall not stand up against the life of your neighbor. I am the Lord. You shall not hate your brother in your heart, but you shall reason frankly with your neighbor, lest you incur sin because of him. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. You shall keep my statutes. You shall keep my statutes. You shall not let your cattle breed with a different kind. You shall not sow your field with two kinds of seed, nor shall you wear a garment of cloth made of two kinds of material. If a man lies sexually with a woman who is a slave, assigned to another man, and not yet ransomed or given her freedom, a distinction shall be made. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free, but he shall bring his compensation to the Lord, to the entrance of the tent of meeting, a ram for a guilt offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering before the Lord for his sin that he has committed, and he shall be forgiven for the sin that he has committed. When you come into the land and plant any kind of tree for food, then you shall regard its fruit as forbidden. 3 years it shall be forbidden to you. It must not be eaten. And in the fourth year, all its fruit shall be holy, an offering of praise to the Lord. But in the fifth year, you may eat of its fruit, to increase its yield for you. I am the Lord your God. You shall not eat any flesh with the blood in it. You shall not interpret omens or tell fortunes. I just realized that I'm reading from the NIV version, which is the version that my church uses. I should switch back to NIV, but I'm just gonna finish 19, and then I'll switch back. You shall not round off the hair on your temples, or mar the edges of your beard. You shall not make any cuts on your body for the dead, or tattoo yourselves. I am the Lord. Do not profane your daughter by making her a prostitute, lest the land fall into prostitution and the land become full of depravity. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence and and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or necromancers. Do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. You shall stand up before the gray head and honor the face of an old man, and you shall fear your God. I am the Lord. When a stranger sojourns with you in the land, you shall not do him wrong. You shall treat the strangers who shall sojourn with you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. You shall do no wrong in judgment, in measures of length or weight or quantity. You shall have just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And you shall observe all my statutes and all my rules, and do them. I am the Lord. All right, back to, and there's an update. I wonder what that update is for. Well, I guess I'll update it now. Cool. All right, moving on to Leviticus chapter 20. Punishment for sin. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, any Israelite or any foreigner residing in Israel who sacrifices any of his children to Molech is to be put to death. The member of the community are to stone him. I myself will set my face against him and will cut him off from his people. For by sacrificing his children to Molech, he has defiled my sanctuary and profaned my holy name. If the members of the community close their eyes when that man sacrifices one of his children to Molech, and if they fail to put him to death, I myself will set my face against him and his family and will cut them off from their people together with all who follow him in prostituting themselves to Molech. I will set my face against anyone who turns to mediums and spiritists to prostitute themselves by following them, and I will cut them off from their people. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and follow them. I am the Lord, who makes you holy. Anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death, because they have cursed their father or mother. Their blood will be on their own head. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. If a man has sexual relationships, or if a man has sexual relations with his father's wife, he has dishonored his father. Both the man and the woman are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man has sexual relations with his daughter-in-law, both of them are to be put to death. What they have done is a perversion. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man has sexual relations with a man, as one does with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They are to be put to death. their blood will be on their own heads. If a man marries both a woman and her mother, it is wicked. Both he and they must be burned in the fire, so that no wickedness will be among you. If a man has sexual relations with an animal, he is to be put to death, and you must kill the animal. If a woman approaches an animal to have sexual relations with it, kill both the woman and the animal. They are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man marries his sister, the daughter of either his father or his mother, and they have sexual relations, it is a disgrace. They are to be publicly removed from their people. He has dishonored his sister and will be held responsible. If a man has sexual relations with a woman during her monthly period, he has exposed the source of her flow, and she has also uncovered it. Both of them are to be cut off from their people. Do not have sexual relations with your sister or either your mother or your father, for that would dishonor a close relative. Both of you would be held responsible. If a man has sexual relations with his aunt, he has dishonored his uncle. They will be held responsible. They will die childless. If a man marries his brother's wife, it is an act of impurity. He has dishonored his brother. They will be childless. Keep all my decrees and laws and follow them, so that the land where I am bringing you to live may not vomit you out. You must not live according to the customs of the nations I am going to drive out before you, because they did all these things. I abhorred them. But I said to you, you will possess their land. I will give it to you as an inheritance, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, who has set you apart from the nations. You must therefore make a distinction between clean and unclean animals and between unclean and clean birds. Do not defile yourselves by any animal or bird or anything that moves along the ground, those that I have set apart as unclean for you. You are to be holy to me, because I, the Lord, am holy, and I have set you apart from the nations to be my own. A man or woman who is a medium or spiritist among you must be put to death. You are to stone them. Their blood will be on their own heads. All right, moving on to Psalm 36. But before I do, let me see if there's an extra section. There isn't any, so let's move to Psalm 36. Okay. Psalm 36. For the director of music, of David, the servant of the Lord. I have a message from God in my heart concerning the sinfulness of the wicked. There is no fear of God before their eyes. In their own eyes, they flatter themselves too much to defect or hate their sin. The words of their mouths are wicked and deceitful. They fail to act wisely or do good. Even on their beds, they plot evil. They commit themselves to a sinful course and do not reject what is wrong. Your love, Lord, reaches to the heavens, your faithfulness to the skies. Your righteousness is like the highest mountains. Your justice like the great deep. You, Lord, preserve both people and animals. How priceless is your unfailing love, O God. People take refuge in the shadow of your wings. They feast on the abundance of your house. You give them drink from your river of delights. For with you is the fountain of life. In your light we see light. Continue your love to those who know you, your righteousness to the upright in heart. May the foot of the proud not come against me, nor the hand of the wicked drive me away. See how the evildoers lie fallen, thrown down, not able to rise. All right, that's it for day 26 of this plan. Cheers.